Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday evening, April 23rd, 2023. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. And another week has flown by. It seems like everything's just speeding up and kind of hard to keep your equilibrium. So I encourage people to take some time out, just unplug for a while, rest, take a walk, get away from all the stuff, all the bombardment of all the news and everything. So anyway, I'd like to welcome everyone to the show tonight. This will be my weekly update that I'll be putting on YouTube. We're going to go over climate-related items from the week, methane, and we'll look at sea ice and some earthquakes. But I wanted to start with what's going on from spaceweather.com. And from the sun. A couple of days ago, we had it was a solar flare, and it caused an explosion on the sun that's directly Earth facing. Here it is. You can see it right here. It wasn't a huge solar flare, but the fact that it was Earth facing is the big thing. And they expected the CME to arrive tomorrow, but it came early, so we've got it now. And here's the SOHO telescope. Here was the flash, and here's Earth, and you can see the level that it's at, straight on Earth facing there. And the explosion caused a burst of static from the sun. And here's what it sounds like. So you get the idea there. And the auroras, it's causing the auroras to occur further south. And okay, so this was from the archives. April 22nd was when this was posted, or the date. And then if we go to the current date on spaceweather.com, they already have Monday up. I think they're on UTC time, and I'm on Pacific time. So here's a follow-up on what's going on. It says severe geomagnetic storm in progress, arriving earlier than expected. A CME hit Earth's magnetic field today, April 23rd at 1737 UT. The impact sparked a severe G4 class geomagnetic storm with auroras sighted in Europe, sighted as far as France. The storm is still ongoing, and it is starting to produce visible auroras in the USA as well. And here's a picture. See the colors there. This was from Germany. And also polar cap absorption event, and we see the red up here at the North Pole and red and yellow at the South Pole. And it says don't try to use a shortwave radio inside the Arctic Circle today. It might not work. A deep polar cap absorption, or PCA, event is in progress. Red zones in the global map show where shortwave transmissions are being absorbed. Frequencies below 15 megahertz are almost completely blacked out, while anything below 35 megahertz is being attenuated, at least a little. What's causing this? A CME hit Earth on April 23rd. Just before the CME arrived, shock waves at the leading edge of the CME accelerated a fusillade of high-energy protons straight toward our planet. Earth's magnetic field funneled the protons toward the poles, where their ionizing effect causes the absorption of shortwave radio. The PCA could continue for days, and they'll keep you abreast of the situation there. We also have our thermosphere climate index is hot. The radio sun, we heard that. Cosmic rays, solar cycle 25 is intensifying, and this is reflecting in the number of cosmic rays entering Earth's atmosphere. Neutron counts from the University of Oulu's Sodenkita Geophysical Observatory show that cosmic rays reaching Earth are slowly declining, a result of the yin-yang relationship between the solar cycle and cosmic rays. So here you see the chart going down. Here is the auroral oval, and you can see how far south here in the US all of Canada looks like can get auroras, and the red means 90 to 100% possibility. Yellow is 50%, green is 10%. But see, it's coming down, even hitting northern Nevada, hitting Utah, Colorado, Kansas, Missouri, Ohio, Illinois, Pennsylvania, and so on. So that's incredible. and then our planetary K index, and we're now at the KP index of 7.0, which is strong for geomagnetic disturbances. Our 24-hour maximum was KP 8.0, which was severe. So this could cause some blackouts in radio transmissions. And if you're sensitive to energies like I am, I'm feeling just exhausted. Well, I'm tired anyway, but I'm like more exhausted. And we've got, these are coronal holes in the sun today. Here's a big one on the southern part. Here's another one up higher. Here, see this whole line? This is what erupted this area a couple of days ago, right around the equator of the sun, or just below it. So it's on fire, and see, we've got a light up here too. And look at the dimming here in the top. There's the hole in the top, absorbing the radiation. So I found all that quite interesting. So there's that. And also, when you have stuff like that happening, it can cause larger earthquakes as well. And volcanic activity. So here we're starting with Climate Reanalyzer for today. This is the maximum temperatures around the world. Got a little bit colder air just north of Canada. Then warmer air across the Arctic, but we do have Arctic air swooping down into Canada and the U.S. Going into today and tomorrow. And here on the west side of the U.S., we're warming up. Okay, we've got whites down here in Central America, Mexico, and whites across Africa, Saudi Arabia, India, Southern Asia, and that's 40 C or higher, or 104 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly. See the reds and browns coming up from Siberia and across this East Siberian Sea and over the Arctic Basin. Also, we have browns from this Russia coastline next to the Kara Sea coming across. We've got browns over Greenland and northeast Canada, and then look at all these blues, heavy blues and light purples from Alaska all the way down through Texas and to the Texas-Mexico border, and cold all the way down through the U.S. And see, we got brown on the west coast, and see, I'm right at the edge of the brown in the Reno area, heating up. Here's the flat view, and so we've got browns on the west side of Russia, into Europe and Africa, and then blues on this east side, and see dark blue here over China. And then in the Antarctic, we've still got reds and browns all around this Weddell Sea, looks like. Here's our overview. Worldwide, we're up 0.51 C, higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 0.59 C. The Arctic is up 2.81 C. The Antarctic is up 0.42 C. The southern hemisphere is up 0.44 C. And the tropics are up 0.53 C. So the Arctic is the winner there. Okay, precipitation and clouds for today. We have snow here on the west side of Greenland, and then over this North Atlantic and Barents Sea, Kara Sea area. We saw rain coming up to the Greenland coastline this week, and I've been checking on National Snow and Ice Data Center every day to see if they've started posting their Greenland data. Nothing yet. They put a post up a couple of weeks ago saying that they would resume reporting on the Greenland melt around mid-April, and it's April 23rd, so I think we're quite a ways past mid-April. Anyway, and these storms have been more and more severe all the time, and more intense. Look at this long finger of rain. Okay. Now we'll look at the jet pieces. See this big hairpin curve coming up over this west side of the Arctic, and then here's the cold air coming down through Canada and the US. Here's the Atlantic view. See the looping here and all the breaks. And the Pacific view, this is something else. Look at that. And then another break, and here's the a separate jet stream that's just going around mid-latitudes, kind of straight. Here's sea ice and snow cover. Not much change this week. It's just been holding as far as extent, and but it's starting to thaw out, starting to melt up there. Okay, here's sea surface temperature anomaly. This is for yesterday. Browns in the Barents Sea, North Atlantic, getting heavier around Greenland. And see, we've got pinks and reds off the coast of North America. We've got browns. The Gulf had kind of cooled off a little bit for a couple of days. Now it's heating back up. Here's the Pacific view. Here's where our blob in the North Pacific is forming. And look here off the coast of South America, Peru and Ecuador. See this red evil eye is growing bigger. So that's, when you've got the bright red, that's about 5C higher than normal. The light pink is 6C higher than normal. And I keep saying they need to update their chart because it's higher than that. Here's the Indian Ocean. See, that's all in the brown now. The Atlantic is almost all in the brown, and so on. Now we'll go on to methane. And we're starting with the NOAA methane data for yesterday, the 22nd. Met B satellite in the morning, 1,000 millibar level. The mean or average was 1,838 parts per billion. The high reading was 2168. In the afternoon, the mean was 1838. The high reading was 2092. On the Met-C satellite in the morning, the mean was 1846. The high reading was 2089. In the afternoon, the mean was 1844. The high reading was 2129. Here's our weekly chart. So the 22nd averaged out to be 1841.50. That gave us an increase this week of 1.25. So here's our line going up. And remember, last time there was a 2-week period between reports because we had days of missing data in there. But so for the week of the 1st it went down, and then the week of the 15th it went down, and now headed back up. So we can see what's happened this week. Here we were last week on Sunday, or my report on Sunday. The Saturday for the 15th we were 1840.25, and the 16th no change. 17th went up 1.0, 18th went up 1.0, 19th went up 0.75, 20th went down 1.25, 21st went down 1.0, and the 22nd we ended up at 1841.5, going up 0.75 over the day before, giving us an overall increase this week of 1.25. And so we did some stair stepping this week, but we had 3 days in a row where it went up. Then it went down 2 days and then started back up on Saturday. And then moving to the 487 millibar level, looking at the Met-B satellite in the morning, the mean was 1912, the high reading was 2387. In the afternoon, the mean was 1914. The high reading was 2383. On the Met-Op-C satellite in the morning, the mean was 1882. The high reading was 2299. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1879, and the high reading was 2274. Here's our weekly chart for the 487 millibar level. So the 22nd averaged out to be 1896.75, giving us an increase this week of 2.0. So there's our increase. So let's see what happened this week. So last week we ended at 1894.75, and it had gone down 1.5 that week. The 16th went up 0.75, 17th up 0.75, 18th down 0.25, 19th no change, 20th up 1.0, 21st down 1.25, and 22nd we ended up at 1896.75 with an increase of 1.0 over the day before, giving us the overall increase of 2.0 for this week. So this week we had 4 days where we went up, 1 day of no change, and 2 days where it went down. So looks like we're in the rising season now with methane. Now we'll look at the CAMS methane data. This is Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Service out of the EU methane forecast. And our base time and valid time are both for Saturday, April 22nd. Arctic area and surface level. That's where we're starting. So the data is for Saturday, and the forecast period is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it went up here for Saturday. We're still seeing yellows coming up through the Arctic Ocean, through the sea ice. See the yellow tinges. We've got here when it starts over, see it streaming off of Russia over the Kara Sea. Here's this higher reading. Overall, the interior of Russia is still pretty low. The Scandinavian areas come back to life. UK is filled up. The North Sea, you can see it streaming up from there. Koktovik is high. North Dakota, this area here is hemorrhaging. That's a constant because of everything going on there. And we had some days we have huge blobs of the higher readings across the U.S. This is the Mississippi River where you see the line going up. See that? And then it spreads out. So this is super high. Look at that. California too. Now, oh, what am I doing? Wrong thing. Now we'll go to the North Pole view. Here you can see the UK filled up, Germany, parts of Europe coming back to life, Persian Gulf, that's filling up, India. Now, so that goes down a little bit. It's not just one big solid blob continuously. Same with China, gone down a tiny bit, but not that much. I mean, just a little bit. See these waves moving out. These are, when you see those green waves moving off a continent, that's high methane. It's super high. There's that. Now we'll go to the global view. South America's really starting to fill up. Look at this. All of Brazil, almost. Well, the west side especially. Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and then southern Brazil into Argentina. See that? It's very heavy. And our primary background color now in the southern hemisphere is this lighter blue. And here's our colored ledger. And we can see that lighter blue here equates to 1840 parts per billion. The dark blue is 1820. So as the forecast period runs, you can see the light blue overtakes the dark blue. So, yeah, we're on the rise. And then 500 HPA. So we see some lighter readings here across the Arctic, and the dark is kind of breaking and drifting further south. Look, here it is coming all the way down into Texas there, and down here over China. So that's definitely, the higher readings are moving further south. It's the change of the season. And then total column. Look at these reds up here over the Arctic. So the heaviest is here over China and Southern Asia region. Alright, moving on with a couple of more things from CAMS. Here's sulfur dioxide today, and you can see this whole northern hemisphere is increased. Look at all the reds and oranges further north, and this is as a result of the volcanoes going off, primarily Shivelush going off in Kamchatka, and you get enough up there and it really hangs around. The atmosphere gets kind of saturated with it. Here's 500 HPA where it shoots up or is just hanging around at this level. And see the long lines. That's some of this is where it gets caught up in the jet stream. And here, Popocatépetl, that's been going off. See the heavy still all the way across Canada. So you can see it really hangs on in the higher atmosphere. Once it kind of gets saturated. Here's the North Pole view. Look at this. That's incredible to see that many reds. And 500 HPA, same thing. Here's our ozone hole over the Antarctic. Now it's not opened up into the danger zone, but the whole continent is in some shade of green, pretty much, which is thinner than normal. And we've got a lot of aqua as well, which is the next shade down. And here's the Arctic ozone. See the hole here over this East Siberian Sea. That's where the warmer air is. And sulfur dioxide will eat up ozone. So, and it's the season for it to be shifting, and the heaviest part be moving further south. Here's the global view. Look at all these greens still around the mid-latitudes. And the big break coming up into the Atlantic. And I still think this heavy it's starting at China and then just gets dispersed. Okay, I just took a couple of earthquake pictures. Excuse me. So I just took a couple of earthquake pictures a little earlier this evening. There were 197 earthquakes worldwide. The big one that just happened was here, 7.1 in the Kermadec Islands. This is north of New Zealand. This came in at 5:41 p.m. Pacific time. And there were seven in this area. But that's the biggest one. And then also, these are some unusual earthquakes. There were 6 stacked up here near Watertown, New York. This is upstate New York, just east of Lake Ontario, and the largest was a 3.6, and so that's an unusual place for earthquakes. I mean, we've seen them in that area before, but it's just more unusual stuff. So now we'll move on to sea ice, and the only model we've got right here is National Snow and Ice Data Center, the Navy website. I couldn't get on it the last, 3 days, so I don't have data from the Navy website. And so what we've got here is for yesterday for National Snow and Ice Data Center, Arctic sea ice concentration, where you see the blues like up here in the Laptev Sea, Kara Sea. This is where it's melting. Also here around Alaska, and here you can see a little bluish tinge in the Beaufort Sea. Here in the North Baffin Bay, we've got a large area of the darker blue that's melting. Also the tributaries. And you can see in the Hudson Bay, see the blues, it's started melting there. And in Baffin Bay, around the edges of Greenland, you can see the blue coming in. Just west of Svalbard, around Franz Josef Land, and this area in the North Barents Sea, where it looks like maybe a little refreeze on the extent, but it's not good ice. It's not thick at all. It's just wispy and not very concentrated at all. So that's melting, and so there's that. Here's our extent chart for the Arctic, for the melting. The blue line is this year, the dotted line is 2012, the gray line is the median, and here in this last week, let's see, so from about here over, is just has had hardly any change. Hardly any change. It's just been pretty straight, and now a little dip in the last day or so. Still well below median, and well below where it was 2012. Here's the Antarctic, and we can see it's well below the median as well. Now they're on the refreeze, and here's the extent chart. The blue line is this year. This greenish gray line is last year. Here's the median, and we had been overlapping with last year for a while, a little over a week, and then, well, maybe longer, maybe 2 weeks, and then it's deviated, and the regrowth has stalled out, and just very slow on the regrowth. And see, we're way below where we were this time last year and the median. So that's not good. That's all of those. Now we'll move on to NASA Worldview, and here's the Arctic. This layer is sea ice concentration. Where you see the pinks, that's where you've got cracks in the ice or it's not very well put together. If you see red, then it's going in to melt. When you see the other colors of the rainbow, then it's melting as well. And there's also a blue layer for sea ice concentration. And we can see this pretty much corresponds to what we just saw on National Snow and Ice Data Center. It's almost identical, in fact. I haven't looked at the Earth at night layer. I don't know if that'll show us some things that we won't see otherwise, but we can try it. See open water around the coast here. This is Canada. Here's the Beaufort Sea. Here's Alaska. There's Barrow. And here's the Chukchi Sea. And you can see all these cracks that have opened up in the ice. And see where it's dark, that's open water in between the big cracks. So that's quite obvious. Here's the Bering Strait. And you can see that's breaking up and there's some open water there. And see, it's open around the coastline of Alaska. Look at this. And here's Russia. And here's the East Siberian Sea. And see, big cracks opening up. So this is starting to come apart now that the sun is up. Here's Wrangell Island. Here's a lot of open water on the east side of the island. And here along the Siberian coast, see how it's breaking up. And that thinner ice is already melted. And so we're getting more open water here. And then coming around, it gets a little darker. This model, sometimes it's really good. Other times, can't see that much. Here's Severnoye Zemlya. See the open water here where it's melted. And here's Komsomolets. And see, here's the ice. You can see it's melting. It's not solid. So that's why we see a lot of pinks in the concentration, meaning it's not solidly frozen. Here's Novaya Zemlya, and here's the west side. Not much ice there. Let's see. Where was I? Can't tell much in the Kara there. Here's Franz Josef Land. Look at that. And see the dark. There's a lot of open water there. Here's Svalbard. And here's the ice edge. You can see the cracks there. Here's Greenland. Look at this. Look how this Lincoln Sea has melted. And so this is just not very thick ice as well. There's a whole area here, see, that never really froze well during the winter. And I'm thinking there's an underwater volcano here. Here's the nearest strait. See the cracks there. And we've got clouds here where it opens out into the Baffin Bay. We've got a lot of open water here. See. See the dark. Also here. And here's the ice edge around Greenland. So we saw it quite a bit there. Now we'll just look at it with the satellite view now. See what we can see. So here's the Lincoln Sea. See? Looks different, doesn't it? Look at all this open water. Here's the solid ice further out, and here's where it was a lot warmer for the winter. Here's the nearest strait. And here's opening out into the Baffin Bay. That's open. There's some ice. This is open. So this is in high melt already up here. Here's the Baffin Bay. Here's Greenland. Here's the ice coming right down to the tippy point. And this is just fringe ice. See? Here. Here's Svalbard. Can't see much there. Let's see. Here's the ice edge. See? Here's Svalbard. And here's the ice in the North Barents Sea. Here's Franz Josef Land. Look at all this area west. That's open. Let's see. Here's Novaya Zemlya. Here's the Kara Sea. There's Yamal Peninsula. And here's the North Kara Sea and Severnaya Zemlya. Here's Komsomolets, and see, this is melting around here pretty fast. See this line? That's open. Here's the Laptev Sea, and there's a shelf that runs, it kind of juts out from the coastline. That's an ice shelf, and then the sea ice picks up, and so we can see where the sea ice is melting more right here around the shelf. See, there's open water. And it's probably because it's warmer, it's more shallow. So, see the cracks, open water. Here's New Siberian Islands. Here's open. Here's the ice. Here's the shelf. Here's the coastline up here. And then here is Siberian Sea. See, that's opening up. Wrangel Island and Bering Strait. See, open water around. So this is pieces of ice now down there. Here's Alaska. Look at this, open around the coast. Here's the this is the Chukchi Sea here. So we've got melting going on here. See, with all the cracks. And in the Beaufort Sea, here's Barrow. See, that's melting. Here's Canada. So, here we can see it's starting to come apart. Now this is in the area of a lot of the thicker sea ice right along up here. Here's Ellesmere Island. Can't see much there. And so here's cracks. See, further up. So that's further in towards the interior. Look at these cracks opening. See? So we'll have to see what happens. The sulfur dioxide, the heavy levels of it over the Arctic is not good, because if it rains or snows, it'll have the sulfur dioxide in it. It'll be like acidic, and then that will fall on the ice and melt it even faster. I am not even going to bother with the Antarctic. The sun is almost completely down there, and there's not that much we'd be able to see. We can look at the earthquake website. Okay, we've got 195 here now. We've got a new one here in the mid-Atlantic. 4.8 north of Ascension Island. We've got a couple down here in the South Atlantic, 5.6 South Sandwich Islands. Here's the 7.1 Kermadec Islands. And if you click on this blue thing with the white wave, it says no tsunami warning. And here's the latest earthquake that it's referring to, 7.1, 6 miles deep. And then if you wanted to look at all the data, you could, at all the reports, but it says no tsunami warning. So that's good enough for me. And then we've got 5.2 Bonin Islands, Japan. 5.3 Luzon, Philippines. 5.2 Cabra, Philippines. And so on. And so the numbers are low. The earthquake makers are at home today, so we're not seeing a bunch of quarry blasts. Nothing major over here. Here's this in New York State. 6. New York 3.6. This came in at 11:10 this morning Pacific time. And then these are small ones since then. So that's my report for tonight. And I like to bring things around to a spiritual perspective, considering how close we are to the end. And we're reading out of the book of Job, and he's teaching us about suffering and how you can suffer and not turn your back on God. You can still praise Him and, still be suffering. Job chapter 28. Surely there is a vein for the silver, and a place for gold where they find it. Iron is taken out of the earth, and brass is molten out of the stone. He setteth an end to darkness, and searcheth out all perfection, the stones of darkness and the shadow of death. The flood breaketh out from the inhabitant, even the waters forgotten of the foot. They are dried up, they are gone away from men. As for the earth, out of it cometh bread, and under it is turned up as it were fire. The stones of it are the place of sapphires, and it hath dust of gold. There is a path which no fowl knoweth, and which the vulture's eye hath not seen. The lion's whelps have not trodden it, nor the fierce lion passed by it. He putteth forth his hand upon the rock. He overturneth the mountains by the roots. He cutteth out rivers among the rocks, and his eye seeth every precious thing. He bindeth the floods from overflowing, and the thing that is hid bringeth he forth to light. But where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Man knoweth not the price thereof, neither is it found in the land of the living. The depths say it is not in me, and the sea saith, it is not with me. It cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price thereof. It cannot be valued with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx or the sapphire. The gold and the crystal cannot equal it, and the exchange of it shall not be for jewels of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or of pearls, for the price of wisdom is above rubies. The topaz of Ethiopia shall not equal it, neither shall it be valued with pure gold. Whence then cometh wisdom, and where is the place of understanding? Seeing it is hid from the eyes of all living, and kept close from the fowls of the air. Destruction and death say, we have heard the fame thereof with our ears. God understandeth the way thereof, and he knoweth the place thereof, for he looketh to the ends of the earth, and seeth under the whole heaven, to make the weight for the winds, and he weigheth the waters by measure. When he made a decree for the rain, and a way for the lightning of the thunder, then did he see it and declare it. He prepared it, yea, and searched it out. And unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. Job chapter 28. So the fear of the Lord is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. We would do well to heed that. I believe we're in the end times. We can see the darkness accelerating, growing all around us. But those who are believers will be under God's almighty wing. He'll have us, and when it's time to go home, we'll go home. For the non-believers, they'll be subject to everything, every little whim, every wind, every hailstone, all the rain, everything. They will not have the protection of the Most High. And I fear for those who do not have that. So if you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, I recommend it before it's too late. Start your walk with Him now, today. You'll see a difference. So I hope everyone has as good a week as you can. And Lord willing, I'll be back here next Sunday doing another update. So I love you all, and I'm praying for you. And until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.